Hello, and welcome to the Sprouts of Promise volunteer orientation. We're glad you're here. In this video, we'll share a bit about our organization's mission, history, and why we do what we do. Let's get started. Sprouts of Promise is a vegetable-positive 501c3 nonprofit. Our mission is to leverage farmers markets as a force for building healthy communities. We do this by operating certified farmers markets and by running programs in and around them that expand food access, fight food waste, and educate. Sprouts of Promise was founded by Mark Anderson, also known as Farmer Mark, who moved from the Midwest to California to get his MBA. While studying at UCLA, Mark took on a project advising a seed breeding company, and despite his high-tech intentions, found himself getting into the world of agriculture. One thing led to another, and Mark was overseeing a small farming operation, selling his tomatoes at nearby farmers markets, and thinking about food systems. This immersion into the agricultural world showed Mark that the American food system is broken. He realized that one of the most important things he could do was work to change it. So Mark put down roots in California and founded Sprouts of Promise. To really understand how Sprouts of Promise is saving lives, we have to do what Mark did and examine our food system. Unhealthy eating is a leading cause of death in the United States. Processed foods are often more accessible than vegetables, and produce on supermarket shelves has only a fraction of the nutrition that fruits and vegetables once had. Our food is making people and our planet sick. Let's take a closer look at our food system, starting by examining how we got here. In 1820, 72% of Americans were farmers. America looked very different then. Most people were living and working on farms. By 1920, 100 years later, only 30% of Americans were farmers. And today, only about 1% of Americans farm. To put it another way, 200 years ago, about 7 million farmers fed about 10 million Americans. Now, we have half that many farmers while our population has grown to over 300 million. We are no longer closely connected to our food supply or the land it's grown upon. This shift has changed the American landscape, and it has changed American bodies. We've handed the responsibility of growing healthy, nutritious food not to our cousins and neighbors, but to corporations. Why? Because mechanized corporate agriculture is good at growing a lot of cheap food, but it comes at a cost. Today, most of our food is grown on enormous farms. These farms are too big and too profit-motivated to properly care for their soil. They rely on synthetic fertilizers rather than soil maintenance, but when soil lacks nutrients, so do the vegetables grown in it. To make matters worse, our vegetables and fruits are harvested before they're ripe, shipped across the country, if not across the world. The average vegetable on a supermarket shelf has traveled 1,500 miles. Many fruits, like tomatoes, have to be artificially ripened in a warehouse with ethylene gas. But because they're harvested too soon, these vegetables will never have the flavor or nutrients that they would if they were grown on a healthy soil and allowed to ripen in the field. Here are some fast facts. Fewer than 1 in 10 adults eat enough vegetables. 1 in 3 American adults are pre-diabetic. Poor diet is associated with 40% of all diagnosed cancers. American farms lose 1% of their topsoil each year. Agricultural runoff is causing algae blooms, poisoning our lakes and streams. But there's another way to grow food. In farmers markets across America, small family farmers are selling a diverse range of vegetables and fruits grown the old-fashioned way. Even if they're not organic, small farms growing multiple crops have less need for pesticides and fertilizers. Because most small farmers sell within 50 miles of their farm, they can harvest their produce when it's completely ripe and sell it when it's completely fresh. The result is produce that is more flavorful and more nutritious, grown in a way that cares for the environment. Vegetables like these could transform the health of Americans. This is where Sprouts of Promise comes in. Our next videos will share how Sprouts of Promise is working to build healthy communities through our farmers markets and the programs we run in and around them.